Hey guys, welcome to another movie review. Today I'm going to be talking about the first feature film, I should say, from director Jordan Peele. He's most well known for doing skits on YouTube called the Key and Peele Show, is what I think it was called. I personally have only seen him voice act in the film Captain Underpants, the first epic movie, I think is what it was called. He voice acted in that last summer. So I really only have seen one film credit of his going into this movie because like I said, this is his directorial debut as a director for this movie. So in this movie Get Out, it's about this African American man who is starting to date this white girl, and it's getting to the point in the relationship where the girl wants to introduce this guy to her parents and get to know her family. So they plan this big trip up north where the parents live, and immediately when they get there, the African American guy is really uncomfortable. They're talking to him in really weird ways. They're approaching their questions to him in weird ways and stuff like that. People are kind of not really treating him badly per se at first, but they're definitely treating him in a very awkward way, something that's very off putting right away. Very much this guy is very much present as well. So as things progress, as they stay at this house longer, there's definitely something going on where this guy thinks that they want him to do something, something that was really going to make him uncomfortable while he's staying there. And um, so, as things progress, things like dark imagery and people getting even weirder around him start happening. Even more relatives start coming over the house, and they really treat him very strangely. So, as the film progresses, you really find out what's going on in this house, what this family wants from this guy, kind of what this girl is hoping for in this relationship, and things like that. And that is the story of Get Out. So overall, guys, Get Out is being praised by critics. It has a very high rating on Rotten Tomatoes. A lot of people I've talked to seem to really enjoy this film. I've never personally seen the Key and Peele skits. I've only heard about them. I know they also did that film. I think it was called Keanu or something like that with the cat. So I know who Jordan Peele is. I'm like know what his work is. But like I said, really the only film I saw going into this movie that I saw him in or voice act in was the Captain Underpants movie. So I kind of went into this with a clean slate. I really didn't know kind of how Jordan Peele approaches things and stuff like that. But unfortunately, due to the high praise and due to the film getting nominated for Oscars and stuff like that, there's a lot of hype and a lot of expectations going into this movie. With everybody praising it. I unfortunately left to Get Out a little cold. I really was not a huge fan of this movie. There's things I thought about it that were okay, and there's things I'll certainly address here in my positives and negatives that I liked and didn't like about it. But overall, for me, I thought the film was very cold. I thought they could have addressed its messages in a more inviting way, I guess. And I understand it's a horror film, and you can't, always do the sunshine and rainbows route with every film and every story you take on. But I feel like the film they went with could have been addressed in a more lighthearted way, I guess. I felt the way that they did it was just a little too dark for its own good. So, for my positives and negatives of this movie, overall, you can tell Jordan Peele's very much involved with the comedy genre, whether it is film or YouTube skits or whatever he's working on or whatever he's worked on in the past as well. He's very good about comedic moments. I definitely felt that when the film's trying to lighten up and, try to have an edge of comedy to it, there's certainly a character in this film that I'll address in my other positives that I really liked as far as comic relief went. So I definitely liked how Jordan Peele put his background in comedy in this film a little bit. I think it works. For being such a dark story, you really do kind of need a comedic moments like that to really lighten the tone of the film a little bit. So whenever the film does have comedic moments, I think it works for the most part. I also feel, and I hope this happens in his next film because I guess he is working on some type of social thriller next. So for his next film, if it does have suspense in it, I do feel Jordan Peele is good about building suspense. I really was kind of guessing as the film progressed as far as what direction this film is going to take. He's very good about making you guess as to what's going to happen next and so forth. So as far as suspense is concerned, I think he's very good about building that. So that's one aspect of the film I thought was pretty impressive. Also, he did have a comic relief character that was supposed to be like the friend of. I think Chris was the lead character's name. I think they worked for some type of security place or something, because his friend always had like a security outfit on. So I liked the friend that he had that was always calling him and warning him about stuff. So I like this comic relief character. It definitely feels like Jordan Peele was putting his comedy background very much so in that character. So I liked this character a lot. Who knows? Maybe he might appear in the next Jordan Peele film as well as another comic relief character. So very fun character. I really liked his presence in this movie. I also liked the kind of the and going I guess going into the horror genre portion of the movie. I did like the northern setting they went with. I liked how it felt very claustrophobic, that there was a history behind this town. You don't know what kind of history it has, but you know that something happened in this place that isn't very inviting to begin with. I do like how it's very claustrophobic. There's a history behind it. There's even an opening scene in this film that very much establishes kind of how uncomfortable this place really is behind the scenes. So I do like this northern setting where when things really started to get dark and creepy for this guy, there really wasn't a lot of places he could go when things really started to get dark for him. So I like that claustrophobic feeling that Jordan Peele did manage to accomplish in this movie. And I also like the cinematography in this film. It feels well shot. It feels like, for being Jordan Peele's first feature length film, it really does feel like he knows how to angle stuff and properly shoot stuff and really make your eye draw into what's currently going on in the scene and stuff like that. So he's very good about that kind of stuff. Now for my negatives, and as usual, I try to keep my reviews as spoiler free as I can. So in case you haven't seen Get Out yet, don't worry, I'm not going to try to spoil anything. I'm just trying to make my point of things that I thought could have been better. And I guess for one of those big things is I thought the big reveal and the third act of this film were just really not very good. I thought the reveal was very, once again, cold and dark and uninviting. Maybe that was the point, since this environment that they were in was very much felt like that. I just wasn't a big fan of the big reveal. I thought it was kind of lazy and overdone and cheap, kind of like an easy way out for why all these weird things were going on. And just the overall third act was just really over the top. It felt like a really bad action movie in a way. I really was not a big fan of the third act of this movie. And then that also goes to my next point. I thought there was a lot of really hateful and mean-spirited messages in this movie. Just a lot of things that really could have been addressed in a more lighthearted way. I really felt like the first half of this film, if the third act benefited from what the things that came before it did, I think the film overall would have been more lighthearted and more open-minded and lighthearted to what they were trying to say. I just really felt like the messages they were trying to say was just really hateful and mean-spirited, and I just really could not get behind the messages of this movie. I also feel that the tone is all over the place in this film. It goes from horror to comedy to drama to over-the-top action movie. It just really, the tone is just all over the place, and there's really no smooth transition for it. I really felt like this movie really needed a more consistent tone the whole movie. There's also a lot of really unlikable and flat characters in this film. One character I can easily talk about without spoiling the movie is the brother of this girl that this guy is dating. He's just a completely unlikable the whole movie. He's flat, like a lot of these characters are. There's just no likability behind him. He's drunk all the time. He's mean to this guy. There's all these relatives are mean to him and kind of put him on the spot in weird ways, and I don't know. I thought it was very unlikable and flat for a lot of these characters. And overall, this is just a very strange film. It's just one of those films where even when the reveal happens and you're explained as it's explained as to what's going on, it's just strange. It's just really kind of off-putting, and just I didn't like the way this film felt. It just felt very strange to me. And that goes to my next point. The acting was just very weird in this movie. Even when the reveal happens and you kind of know what's going on and everything, some of these characters behave in ways that don't really even apply to them when the reveal happens. It's just like, well, why are they acting like that? Why are they? Oh, you must be so and so. You must like this place, and no, 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 no. It's just like, no. It's just like, that's not good acting. That's just not. Even I would run out of this place if I saw people acting like that at a person's house. It's like, no. It's just like, I don't like the acting of this movie. And I also thought there was a lot of lack of reasoning for this film. Once again, once the reveal happens, there's no reason for it. There's just like, we're doing this because we're doing this. It's just like, no, you need a reason behind that. There needs to be a logical reason why things are happening the way they are. And they never, even one character questions this, and they never address it in this movie. It's just like, there needs to be more reasoning behind this, guys. Come on. And then for my last complaint, and it's, I addressed this earlier, the film really does feel cold. Stephen King himself said you can make a story as scary as you want, but you can never leave your audience feeling cold. And I really feel like Get Out is one of those films that does. I just felt cold and uninvited, and I just really didn't like the feelings that Get Out was giving to me. I really could not get behind the messages of this movie. I could not. I couldn't do it. But overall, I'm going to give Get Out a 7 out of 10. That seems really generous for the negatives I just addressed about it. I feel Jordan Peele can be a great director. I really feel like if he chose a better story to work with and a more interesting subject to work on that wasn't just so forceful and mean-spirited, maybe I can get behind this guy a little bit more. But right now, I really feel like the messages he's trying to get across, like in this film in particular, just feel really hateful and mean-spirited. I really couldn't get behind certain aspects of this movie. So 7 out of 10. It's okay. I really can't recommend it. It's just a little too mean-spirited for my taste, so really can't recommend this one.